really enjoy listening to self-help podcasts. For the most part, it's the Mel Robbins podcast and the 9 Lives podcast with Cassia Clark. Now, she hasn't posted in a year, but she's coming out with new episodes, I believe sometime this year. I'm very excited. She's the first podcast where she was able to put vocabulary behind the feelings that I have felt for so long, but didn't know how to articulate. And that's massive. Like, I was listening to these podcasts and just like, oh my God, I have been feeling like that for years or for my whole life. And I've never really understood what that feeling was. So I have learned a lot from her podcast. And there's 2 podcast episodes specifically that really just clicked this time, which is kind of what the title of this is about, is that yes, podcasts can help you change your habits, but really we don't learn the lessons until we've lived the journey, if you want to call it. Got Maurice to well, I didn't get him to join me, but it's an hour away from his dinner. So of course he's like, hey, don't you forget it. Let me stare at you for an hour. But as I was saying, I love the Mel Robbins podcast, but they don't talk you through the ugly, sluggish plateaus, because sometimes at the beginning of the journey, it's the easiest. You do start seeing results. But what do you do when you stop seeing results and you're so attached to this outcome? And you know, Mel has experts from longevity, health, eating, exercise, why you hate your life. And they're kind of there to show you what the data suggests and what you should be doing. But there's nothing about the, well, what if I want to do it, but then my self-worth makes me feel like I shouldn't ask for it, you know? And I think that was really interesting about Cassia's podcast, 9 Lives. I will put that in the description box in the 2 episodes in particular that I've been mentioning. But at the time, I remember listening to them and understanding that this was good advice. And I was like, yeah, like I get it, sure. But since now going through this journey of plateau, stagnation, and just frustration with almost everything, she puts it so like easily. It's like you're reaching for the door handle, but you can't really turn it. And you have the lock, but it's just not fitting correctly. Oh, that just explains so much of the frustration I've had with a lot of things. And like I said, at the time, the advice was great to sit in the journey, but I just wanted the outcome. I wasn't ready to hear, you just got to enjoy this journey that you're on. And it wasn't until I learned the lesson that now I am able to accept that advice. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of podcasts that are self-help, YouTube videos. You're watching it, you're listening to it because you want the outcome, not necessarily the journey. And journeys can take years. This isn't something just happens. And that is sometimes really hard to sit in, especially when you're so dead set on that outcome. And like I said, I don't know how to fix that quite yet, but I want to work towards that. And so maybe it's also good to know not all content is for you at that time of your life. You might be able to come back to people, be able to absorb what they're putting down a little easier. And these 2 episodes were season 2, episode 5, Stop Giving Up on Yourself, How to Learn Patience and Get to Your Goals. And then one of the last episodes she did, which was Overcoming Plateaus and Finding Your Spark After Stagnation, season 3, episode 9. I have felt a sort of stagnation with almost everything in my life this summer. Well, actually, let me introduce myself. I'm Kat Reads the Library. I love talking about literature, doing character analysis, understanding what these authors are trying to do with their texts, and just love talking about all things books. I am going to throw in some books in here too. Don't worry, I'm not getting totally off my niche, but if you're interested in learning about Gothic, fantasy, anything else I want to be chatting about, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed and if you like this video. So like I was saying, I have just felt so stagnant with so many things in my life this summer. I had taken full courses. I had taken a course, it was an accelerated course through May and June. And in the summer, I was like, amazing. I am finally going to be able to get back to my workouts, which I've been really missing. And I'm going to post so much content and I'm just going to learn from it. And I'm going to be able to do it weekly. And it's just going to go great. I am so excited. And then you get 3 weeks into this, and I have never felt such despair and a bit of self-loathing of, wow, I'm doing shorts, I'm doing really good long-form content, I'm having to read these large books, even though like I wanted to read these books. But then once this expectation attached itself into what I like to do, I like to run. It's good for my body and for my brain, and it's good to be outside. When I run further, I feel like I'm getting a win. That wasn't enough anymore. I had to add more distance. Okay, more distance. Okay, do it a little faster. Okay, now we're doing it twice a week. We're doing it 3 times a week now, adding sprint sessions. And I was doing that with my workouts. I've had a weird time. Like, I've been working out for 10 years. I think it's been 10 years. I've been a runner for a really long time, but workouts I've been doing for 10 years. And I was like, I don't have my muscle connection. I have wasted 10 years of my life on this. What am I doing? So then you take it back and then you try to scale up again. And I was just like, I'm getting nowhere in any of these places that I want to go in my life. My job hasn't changed. I'm really still struggling with that still. Finances haven't changed. Content hasn't changed. Workouts hasn't changed. No body recomp. Can you hear the negative self-talk? Oh my God, it's exhausting. Absolutely exhausting. And I had listened to Cassia's podcast, a year ago, I guess, when she stopped posting. And when I saw that she's coming out with some new episodes, I started listening to some of the older ones. And those 2 episodes, they jumped at me and they said, hey, you need to listen. You need to stop with this self-worth attachment into every little thing that you're doing, and you need to figure something else out, because this is just, you're making it too hard on yourself. I do have the fan on and the door open because it is very hot, so I hope it's not noisy and annoying. I just have to change something. I can't keep... It's why I stopped posting some YouTube videos recently, because I was so attached to seeing views grow, seeing engagement grow, likes, follows, that when that wasn't happening, immediately inward, I'm doing everything wrong. Nothing's going to work out for me. Maybe this just isn't for me. It might not be for me. I don't know, but I need to take away attachment from the outcome, which is exactly what Cassia is talking about in those episodes. The first one I mentioned, where you have to like the process. If you don't like the process, you're never going to get to the outcome. And I didn't know that until I have spent so many years just being like, why don't I have this outcome yet? And then you get frustrated, so you stop. You maybe give up. For me, I have come back, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that? Are you an outcome person, or are you more for the journey? And I am trying to now learn, buddy, you got to be in it for the journey, or else you're not going to get to your outcome. And if you don't like the journey, you maybe just have to let go of that desire. I don't know. That kind of feels sad. I don't know yet how to know when you're putting so much effort into something, and if it doesn't turn out for you, you're okay with it? I don't know. It will lead to new opportunities. I did not write a script for this video. Usually I do. And so I'm going to be rambling if you haven't already noticed. Now, the book that this ties into, our friend Socrates and Plato with the 5 dialogues. And specifically, let me tell you. It's the introduction, talking about, who Socrates was and Plato and what was happening in Athens at the time when Socrates was teaching, not even teaching, he was talking to people about philosophy and life democracy, all that. What are our morals? What are our values? How do we find them? And this is why I think when you're listening to these podcasts, and again, I love the 9 Lives podcast and it has helped me so much, but the lessons that Cassia has learned, I can't step over the journey to get to the outcome, whether that's like you realizing your self-worth, whether that's understanding, well, maybe certain goals aren't for you. Like if you want to run a marathon, or if you want to travel more, or if you want a certain job, are you just wanting that because other people have it? I don't know. Getting off topic again, but it's not until I've become so frustrated with my own process and re-listen to those episodes that now it makes sense. And at the time I was like, oh yeah, I get it. But no, like I want to hold on to that outcome and expectation. And I don't want to let it go because then I won't pursue it. How do you not pursue something if you don't have a hard goal that you're just grabbing like nothing else? But it's so true. You're never going to get that goal if you don't enjoy the journey, because then you're just punishing yourself into doing things. And I've done that my whole life. And you know what? I'm going back to school in September. I don't want it to be in that process either. I really want to let go, understanding that failure is a part of life. And obviously to still try. Don't want to fail at school. I'm going to put in a lot of effort. But how do I... Yeah, that might be a conversation for another day. That might have to be some after counseling conversations. Anyways, I'll just read you a little bit from the introduction. So we're talking about sophists, where the teachers who traveled around Greece at the time to teach people to become their best, right? And it says, all of them taught rhetoric, the art of public speaking, which was a powerful weapon since all the important decisions were made by the assemblies of adult male citizens or in the court with a very large jury. It is not surprising that Socrates was often confused with these sophists in the public mind, for both of them were apt to question established and inherent values, but their differences were vital. The sophists professed to put men on the road to success, whereas Socrates disclaimed that he taught anything. His conversations aimed at discovering the truth and acquiring that knowledge and understanding of life and its values that he thought were the very basis of the good life and of philosophy. To him, a moral as well as an intellectual pursuit. Hence his celebrated paradox that virtue is knowledge, and that when men do wrong, it is only because they do not know any better. I think that says everything. There's going to be people who will tell you how to get to the top and how to be better and how to achieve your dreams. But at the end of the day, they're getting paid to do it. And just because they're telling you how to get to the end doesn't mean you're going to get to the end. You have to put in the work to discover your own wisdom or knowledge. Socrates is famous for always pursuing wisdom. The oracle at Delphi said he was the wisest man. And he's like, nah, that can't possibly be. Like, I will find someone wiser than me. I will go out and seek, like, let me figure this out. And that's what he dedicated his life to do. Personal hygiene, he didn't care. He wanted knowledge. Socrates wasn't interested in being the wisest man. He didn't then stop and say, that's enough. That's good for me. I'm wise. No, he continued with the journey. Let me read you a little something. So in Euthyphro, Socrates is first charged with impiety for corrupting the youth of Athens with his philosophical teaching them how to think for themselves. How dare he? And he's in a conversation with Euthyphro, who is a very holy man. I believe he's some sort of priest. I don't quite remember. I will put that in later. Because Socrates is being charged with impiety, he asks Euthyphro, well, what is piety? You, of all people, should know. Please teach me what this is, because I don't understand what I've been charged with. And Socrates, he keeps asking, he keeps poking. He's like, no, I'm not satisfied with that answer. And Euthyphro finally says, we must examine it, but I certainly think that this is now a fine statement. We should examine it until it suits us. Euthyphro is oversimplifying and not wanting to look deeper. If Socrates just accepted this expert's definition of what piety is, which they never get a definition by the end, Euthyphro just walks off in the end frustrated, like, how dare you question me this much, Socrates, get out of here. But if Socrates just accepted it, he would have learned a false truth. And if he didn't keep questioning for himself, he would have been kind of blinded by what true piety is, even though the text doesn't give us a true example. I know this video is a little different for what I usually do, but I've been having a lot of thoughts, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel, because I wanted to talk about books, and I also wanted to get some of the thoughts out of my brain. Just get them out. Oh my God. Oh, a little kitty. Is it almost his lunch or his dinner? Yes. We're an hour. Okay, anyways. I always love when he makes a cameo. That's my kitty Maurice. He's the best boy. He's in my profile picture. Love him. You know, especially with social media, we're shown the end result almost all the time. But learning to get in that gritty journey and maybe detaching self-worth from outcomes, yeah, that's kind of sounds better than what I've been doing so far. And like I said, if I'm thinking about it, maybe some other people are. If you're searching for a YouTube video on how to make people finally watch your YouTube videos and they've just made you feel really crappy about yourself, maybe this one might help you. Just like, it's not a me thing. You could be making the best thing ever, and because of the algorithm, no one will see it. You're making content for humans, but you're putting it in the hands of a unliving, unfeeling thing with the responsibility to push them out to other humans. I don't know. Anyways, it's the last month of like true summer vacation, and then it's September. It always feels a bit like a new year. Listen. Okay, I'm starting to ramble now, but the leaves are starting to fall because we've had like such a hot summer, and they're getting crunchy. And when I walked in the forest, it kind of had a fall smell. It was really exciting. Still enjoying summer, but yeah, I'm sending a bit of love out to anyone who's had these same feelings. Sending love to myself too. I know that's corny, but I hope you're having a great day and learning to enjoy the process. Let's learn together.